What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sisters. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
All right, Sisters fans, hope you are doing well. We are here to talk about the season 2 penultimate episode, Where the Heart Is, that aired last night. Again, just like the Oval, I was asleep and I missed the live, but hey, I'm here now doing the review pretty early. Just to be a little bit transparent, I've been having a shitty week, so yeah, that's why I haven't been up to snuff to do live streams and whatnot. Just a lot going on. But in any case, before moving forward into the video, please help me out by hitting that thumbs up button to show you like it. Also hit subscribe. Still trying to get the percentage up of subscriber watch time. So once again, hit subscribe if you are a non-subscriber, but you frequently visit the channel. Also follow me on social media. The Sistas Facebook group is now over 125,000 members. Holy crap. And finally, hit the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. This wasn't a bad episode. Now, will I say, is it as good as season 1's penultimate episode, which I believe was season 1, episode 24, entitled A Bad Feeling? No, I thought that episode was one of season 1's best. And again, that was season 1, episode 24. I guess it's the fact that, and I don't want to be harsh because this is only season 2 of Sisters, but I just feel like season 3 is already done. They've already filmed it. It's already done. I just don't really see how the show can continue in a meaningful fashion because once again, I just feel like we're running into the same repetitive storylines, you know? I mean, I just feel like there really wasn't much to get out of the episode. So I give it like a 6 out of 10, mainly because there were a few talking points that I'm glad got some resolution. Like, for example, not to jump too far ahead, but we discover in this episode that, oh my gosh, Zach didn't use the credit card. It was a female using Zach's name. But the thing is, it's recognized. I mean, the problem I feel is that as fans or viewers, we didn't get to see who it was. I mean, to be honest, I'm not that intrigued. I'm not going to sit up here and say, like, oh, it was a female client. Who was it? Well, let's be real. I'll probably do a video about it anyway. You could say Pam because damn near everyone and their mother suspected Pam since the beginning of this credit card fraud, but she's not a client, she's an employee. Okay, you know what, I'll say that talking point for later. Let's just jump into the review. So basically, Aaron walks in on Karen and Zach, and she tells Zach to get dressed and leave, and while he's getting dressed, he's like, what is this? What's this thing you got over me? Now, if you watch Ruthless, it kind of reminds me of Daikon, how he always talks to Ruthless like, what's this spell you have over me that makes me feel for you? It's kind of the same thing. And it's like, my issue with this is, Karen was one of my biggest problems in the episode. And again, I will get to that more because when we get to that, the final couple of scenes where all the girls are at Andy's house and whatnot, and then we go over to the grocery store, I got some issues with that. But it's like, Karen, you were part of this too. It's like, it wasn't just Zach. So why are you saying, what's this thing you have over me? No, let's be real. You and Zach both have feelings for each other. But as Aaron rightfully called out, you want sex. That's literally what it was. All right, so they both get dressed and step out. Pam and Aaron are waiting right outside the door. Zach is pretty much, sent away. He's like, so what's the dude still doing here? I thought it was pretty fun. So I was like, you messed up my buttons. And Zach, zip up, put on your belt. Like, what? He saw it all anyway. It doesn't really matter. So Zach ends up leaving. Pam is sent home because, she's just trying to mop up the tea that's about to be spilled on the floor. So she's sent away. So this literally is what makes me mad about Sisters. Now, if you watch Bruh on BET Plus season 1 towards the end where Andy and Mike are working at Mike's apartment or not loft, whatever you want to call it. The loft. Remember that when it comes to Bruh, it's revealed that Mike is a tax attorney who works at the same law firm as Andy. He just hasn't made a physical appearance on Sistas, but he was mentioned during the beginning of season 2. Basically, there was a interesting conversation between Andy and Mike on Bruh, and it was them talking about, well, Andy wanting to get a male perspective on why men aren't mature and things like that. But then when Mike rightfully, he wasn't even trying to start a debate, but he wanted to say that, yeah, he basically answers Andy's questions. Like, oh, well, you want to know like why we aren't mature, why we aren't able to express ourselves, things like that. And yeah, exactly. Well, just don't get it twisted. Women are the same way. Andy didn't want to hear any of that. So she shut Mike down. I feel the same way watching Sistas. I'm like, this show is trying to project that men are worse than women when it comes to dating. But if you listen to the conversation that Karen was having with Aaron, this is damn near verbatim what happens when a man is caught. It's like, baby, I'm sorry. I know you saw what you just saw, but I'm not into him. Yes, you are. You want this? I couldn't even. The funniest thing about this scene was how messed up Karen's hair was because of the wild sex she just had with Zach. So I was just laughing to myself every time we cut to Karen and we saw her hair kind of sticking up. It reminded me of A Fall from Grace, where Grace was in jail talking with the lawyer. And then there was the one scene where her hair is like one way. And then when it cuts away from her and she's like, it all blew quickly like a hurricane. And then we go back to her and her hair sticking up. That's what it kind of felt like. But essentially, jokes aside, she still loves Zach. Aaron is like, this celibacy is too much for you, so I don't feel like I'm ever going to be enough, because it's like, I thought I was the more you wanted that you weren't getting from Zach. And Karen's like, you are, except for the sex. Just basically, if it wasn't for the sex part, then you could argue that Karen would still have a torch for Zach, but, she would be with Aaron. So basically, he's going to give her some space. And again, women do the same thing. And you know what? I think you need some space. I think we need space apart until you decide what you want. That's essentially what happened. And I'm sorry. Again, that's a man. If this show is trying to project women being better than men, it's doing a crappy job of doing so. But in any case, we move to the next scene. Danny and Sabrina are driving over to Andy's place. And, Danny's the same thing as the audience. We don't want to hear shit about the Calvin thing anymore. Sabrina, you want to go out with Jacoby, whatever. But that's when she gets a phone call from Jackie, who was getting the information on the credit card fraud. And that's when we learned that it was a female, not a male, who was utilizing Zach's name on the credit card. But since it was fraudulent activity, the charges were reversed. So Zach is free. And it turns out it's one of her clients, because, again, that's one of my issues. Like, we, the audience, didn't get to see who it was. It's kind of like when Butt Liquor went over to Danny's house and brought the painting. And I'm like, Preston's like, you want to see it? I'm like, well, hell yeah, I want to see it. But we never did. We go over to Calvin and Maurice. Again, a wasted scene. I'm tired of this crap. He's still pissed off about Maurice screwing things up with Sabrina. Calls him out for just wanting to spill the tea because you heard something from my room, you made an assumption, you talk with her, and he seems semi-jealous of the whole Jacoby thing, because he's not talking to Sabrina anymore because he knows what she wants, which is like a thug and whatnot. And that's it. Honestly, again, I don't hate Calvin, it's just I'm kind of over this storyline. Well, I've been over this storyline. Just both move on and that's it. All right, so Fatima actually goes to see Zach. He's up in there in the house fixing stuff up, and this is, again, it just sucks for the boy. I hate that. I hate he's going down like this. So he's working hard. He's still distracted about what happened with Karen. Turns out the developers came in and they bought up all the houses, so Zach gets his cut, $25,000. Fatima suggests investing it in, wait, all of it? Well, yeah, because, that money is good money, but it's not always going to last. You want to make sure you plant a seed so that money can grow. And he's like, well, hey, can I at least keep maybe 5 of it so I can find me a place and everything like that? No, why don't you keep 2? What kind of place you think I can get for $2,000? With the first month's rent and then the security deposit, then utilities and whatnot. Why don't you stay with me? And Zach is like, what? let's be real here. I don't think it's just the fact that he had sex with Karen. I think that even if he never went to the salon and then had sex, he would still be hesitant because it's deja vu for Zach. This is probably verbatim what happened when he first interacted with Karen. That's honestly how I think things may have been going. So, yeah, I'm feeling you, and it's not a relationship. Wait, it's not dating, but we're going to feel it out. And guess, hey, if things keep going the way they are now, by the time we kind of figure out where we are, you'll probably have about 100K by then. That way, if it doesn't work out, you can move out, get your own spot. And he tries to make an excuse not to leave right now with her, but it's like, look, the place is bought. There's no more work to be done. It's like, hey, let me just do a couple things and then I'll be done. So it's like, kiss me. It's like forehead kiss. Oh, I get it. You're still pumped about the money. Like, yeah, that's it. And I'm thinking to myself, thank God, because I'm like, after what he did with Karen, I would feel some kind of way if his lips were touching hers after being with Karen. So, I'm glad they kind of sorted that out. Then we go over to Gary and Andy talking. Basically, they're drinking, celebrating not quite the engagement, because later on in this conversation, she agrees to it. But until that point, they're just talking. And he's like, yeah, we should go to counseling, couples counseling, because, I'm going work on my jealousy issues and whatnot, and we should do it together. And here's the thing. Now, I feel two ways about what Gary was saying in regards to Andy and why she needs counseling. It's like, you always have this need to be like perfect. You know how you interact with people, like you want to get attention from men, you're being flirty and whatnot. So that's kind of what triggers my jealousy. Now, here's the thing with that. I think that Gary honestly was making a point before he said the trigger stuff. Now, it's good that he's recognizing and able to admit, hey, Andy, these are the things you do that sets me off. However, I'm also going to therapy to work on that. I agree that they both should go to counseling together because of the fact that I don't think it's good just for one person to be going to therapy, especially if you're in a couple, not to mention about to step into a long-term relationship, aka marriage, because of the fact that, yeah, I think going to counseling solo is a good thing. It really is. But when you're involved with someone else and some of your toxic traits impact the relationship, it's good to actually go into therapy together. So when he said your need to be perfect, and then when Andy was like, why do I need counseling? I'm like, there you go right there. Gary was rightfully pointing out various things that Andy does, because I want to be real. Here's where I thought Gary was going. Your need to be perfect and whatnot, your need to do anything to get attention from a man. And I'm thinking, is he going to bring up the fact that, look at you're messing around with a married man? Like, shouldn't that tell you right there, maybe you need counseling? I feel like that would have been a bit too perfect for a man to tell a woman that, especially when he's the married man he's referencing. But it's always like he has a bunch of half-truths. Like, he's being sincere, but at the same time, it's like, Andy was like, wait, so you're blaming me? I'm like, well, no, it's just like, these are kind of some of the triggers. So I just wanted to, let you know. So it's good to know each other's, basically, it's good for each person in a relationship to know what makes the other person tick. So I feel like Gary, quote unquote, is the bigger person in this conversation, because unlike Andy, he's actually able to admit when he's messed up to an extent. I mean, trust me, there's been a lot of evidence in previous episodes where that's been the contrary. But in this moment, he talks about how, hey, I've never broken a promise. I mean, to be fair, the only promises I could really remember him breaking were early on in season 1, where he kept saying, I want to leave my wife, I want to move out, I'm going to get a divorce. But it didn't happen. So but he did say, once the divorce was finalized, then we'll get married. So he did come through with that. I mean, there are some, I wouldn't marry him. I mean, if I were Andy, I definitely wouldn't. So how do you feel about that part of the episode? Do you think like Andy needs counseling? I honestly think she does, because hey, I'm perfect. Yeah, that's honestly what it is. Her need for attention and whatnot, which I feel like stems from the whole, I should be married by now, I should have a family, that kind of thing. I'll have a man no matter what. So I feel like her main reason for not wanting to go to therapy isn't just an omission of refusing to acknowledge her flaws, but she knows going to therapy would open up a lot of truths which she doesn't want to hear. I mean, look at how she treats her girls, Miss Irene and other people who give solid advice. She doesn't care. So after that, she agrees to make the engagement official. And then the girls come in and it gets really awkward. Gary just gets up and leave. Danny's like, no, you should stay. Karen and Sabrina like, no, you should go. So that he ends up leaving. Danny congrats Andy on the engagement. And girl, fine. I mean, look at that ring. Shit, I take that too. If I want to get beat up, I might as well get the money for it. And then Sabrina, and this is where the episode lost me because yet again, we're just in the same old hurricane of conversation. And I feel like, again, I'm the Danny in this situation. Danny speaking for the audience. Sabrina's like, why would you say that, Danny? Just don't say that. It's like, do you know how much domestic violence is going on in, the world right now? And yada. I'm like, no. This is not a PSA. Just no. So basically, Karen's just sitting on the edge of the couch, and Sabrina's like, wait, why aren't you saying anything, Karen? It's like, well, no, I mean, if she's grown and she wants to choose to be with Gary, then fine, let her be with Gary. And Danny's like, I've been saying this the whole time. I mean, Andy, I'm happy for you. I mean, just be safe. But look, she's happy. She's an adult. She's going to do what she's going to do. Us coming over here isn't going to change anything. Yet again, Danny is the voice of reason. Hey, I've been saying this shit for a while. Y'all just tell me to shut up. Don't say anything. But then when y'all say it, that's when we need to jump into action. It's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not wasting my time. So Andy knows that Karen has seen Zach or whatever because of how chill she is about the Gary and Andy situation. And then she's like, now you see, Karen, how you really can't judge me. I think this is just so stupid. I really just think it's so asinine how she tries to compare the situation between her and Gary to Zach and Karen, because Karen's like, look, Andy, we both know these men aren't any good for us, but after tonight, it's like, I just want to give it another chance. Let them come back home. Like, I mean, hell, within a month, it could probably go back to how it was before, but I just want to try it again. I just feel like this is just such massive character regression because I don't see how Tyler tries to justify the writing here, where Karen is like, you know what, Andy, you're right. Even though Zach, it doesn't make sense to me. But basically, Danny also brings up, hey, Sabrina, get your phone. Tell Karen that Zach wasn't the one who did the credit card fraud. And then she was shocked to see it was a client. But again, we don't see who the person is. So is this person who used the credit card just going to be a non-factor? It's like, oh no, this storyline was intended to create tension and between Karen and Zach, but it's just a random person. It wasn't Pam. I mean, when you say client, I'm like, ooh, was it the preacher's wife, the one that came in that Karen was talking to? I don't know. But essentially, Andy's like, I promise I'll leave if he touches me again. Because Danny, again, it brings up like, girl, it's like, we just don't want to see you go through the whole college thing again. It's like, oh, here we go again. No, just wash my hands. I'm done. Andy, if you want to be with him, be with him. And it's like, thanks for having my back. No, you don't care, Andy. When the girls have your back, you don't give a shit. You honestly don't give. They're telling you right now, you haven't seen the real Gary. It's like, I mean, even Sabrina said a line that even Danny's like, ooh, I mean, that was harsh. That's something I would say, Sabrina. It's like, you know, a married man who would sleep with you at night and go back to home with his wife and kids during the day. You don't know who the real Gary is. I think Andy said the lines like, I see him at his best and you only see him at his worst. Yeah, because drunk Gary bruising your ribs certainly displays his best qualities. I'm done. So, I mean, again, if I were just in that sisters group, I'd be like, Danny, like, hey, girl, you be happy, do you? Because I know that somebody tried to drag Danny into the conversation. You about rodeo. No, rodeo's my boo. We happy. Don't even worry about it. So I'm like, I would be like, Danny, it's like, hey, this ain't about me. This is about you. Kind of like what Andy was trying to get on Karen's case about the whole credit card thing. And Zach is like, no, Andy, this ain't about me. We're talking about you. So no. So after that, they just agree to like, hey, let's cuddle up, and now, ooh, you got wine? You got any cheese or anything? Nope, let's go to the store. So they go to the grocery store. I will admit, I feel like this was a bit of a dragging way to end the episode, but it was just good to see the girls having fun because number one, I don't think we've seen this grocery store setting since season 1. You know, like that's where Karen met Aaron. That's where Danny and Sabrina were shopping, I believe, and Danny ran into one of her exes. And, you know, yeah, the store, it just felt good. And I believe this is probably the same grocery store that's utilized in Ruthless, you know, the store that Dale works at. But yeah, it was just fun. The girls just, you know, having fun, laughing. Danny's throwing snacks in the cart. And then they run into Fatima because Fatima's like, wait, did you say Zach? And then she's like, wait a minute, Zach, her ex is Zach? And then Zach comes around and it's like, uh-oh. So that's the end of the episode. So honestly, I just feel like, again, this episode is just rehashing the same shit over and over. I just don't feel like any of these characters truly grew in any positive way during season 2. You could argue Danny, but as we see in the trailer for next week, I don't think that's the case at all. So let me know your thoughts on the episode. Am I being too harsh? I just feel like it's the same thing. I don't care about the Calvin, Sabrina thing and Maurice, you know, just trying to get those two back together. I don't care about Andy and Gary. I just feel like let her do what she want to do. I mean, she's always going to refuse to recognize her own faults, but she's quick to, you know, call out the faults in other people. Karen is just starting shit. I mean, look, don't worry. I'll talk about it in the preview for next week. And that's about it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.